I don't have a plan to just march right through all the Psalms in consecutive order, but Psalm 30 is worth uh, trying to think our way through, for me to talk my way through uh, after Psalm 29. I'm going to read it. Actually, I'm going to read it all the way through, and then we'll come back to the beginning. This is a Psalm of David, a song for the dedication of the temple. Got to say something about that before we move forward with the rest of the psalm. One of the interesting things about David's life, in my opinion, is that he was an artist who was a planner. I don't know many artists who are planners. He was also a warrior. It's not like I know hundreds of artists, but you know, he was not one-dimensional. And part of what he had in his plan was writing a song for the dedication of the temple, an activity which, by the way, he would not see in his flesh. Okay. I will exalt you, Lord, for you rescued me. You refused to let my enemies triumph over me. O Lord, my God, I cried to you for help, and you restored my health. You brought me up from the grave, O Lord. You kept me from falling into the pit of death. Sing to the Lord, all you godly ones. Praise his holy name, for his anger lasts only a moment, but his favor lasts a lifetime. Weeping may last through the night, but joy comes with the morning. When I was prosperous, I said, nothing can stop me now. Your favor, O Lord, made me as secure as a mountain. Then you turned away from me, and I was shattered. I cried out to you, O Lord. I begged the Lord for mercy, saying, what will you gain if I die, if I sink into the grave? Can my dust praise you? Can it tell of your faithfulness? Hear me, Lord, and have mercy on me. Help me, O Lord. You have turned my mourning into joyful dancing. You have taken away my clothes of mourning and clothed me with joy, that I might sing praise to you and not be silent. O Lord my God, I will give you thanks forever. A lot in that. So for the fun of it, let's go to the beginning. I will exalt you, Lord, for you rescued me. Two big things there. I mean, two words we've got to have an understanding of. First of all, the word exalt. Use that word very often in your conversation, because I don't. I occasionally do that, but I don't. That word doesn't get into my conversation. I don't think there are a lot of people who have thought very much about the word exalt. So let's do that. It's not. We're not going to go to the deepest into the pool for this. I mean, this is knee deep in the pool, okay? To exalt just means to magnify, to focus on the goodness, the success, on a human level, the success of someone. What you do is you elevate their status by talking about the goodness of their activity, of their behavior, of whatever it was. See, this exalt thing is connected to primarily two things. First of all, and the easiest one I think to look at is it's connected to performance, to a behavior. You do something well, and you get exalted. You get lifted up somehow. You like, for instance, I'm recording this on July the 2nd. So, and there's no way you're going to see it on July 2nd, but it's Sunday afternoon, and one of my very favorite golfers won the Travelers tournament, PGA golf tournament, Ricky Fowler, after like a 4-year drought. And for a lot of those 4 years, he was not playing good golf. But he went back to Butch Harmon, one of his long time ago teachers. And it wasn't like they totally rebuilt him, but boy, something clicked, because in the last 2 or 3 months, he got back where he was contending. Today he broke through with the win. Well, when I talk about Ricky and his win, and how another aspect of this is the gallery was, I mean, they were pulling for him big time. I especially like the fact that young kids, young boys and young girls, his tradition is to wear orange on Sunday. He started his and finished his college golf career at Oklahoma State University, which is orange and black. And he pays tribute to that on Sunday with orange. And these kids are wearing orange hats and shirts and pulling for him. When I talk about Ricky that way, I am exalting him. Now, his performance, he was better than anybody else in the tournament. His performance deserves to be taken notice of. Now, I can't say I don't know Ricky. I got to meet him once, and I know some people who know him. I'm not saying he is this wonderful Christian guy, but I do know this about his character. He puts people, especially his family, ahead of the winning finish. And he talked about it when he was interviewed after this tournament. And to me, that's a mark of character. And that's the second thing that people get exalted for their character. Ricky expressed his character. It is widely known that when Ricky is in a tournament, no matter how well or how poorly he has done, he will sign autographs for people until there are no more people seeking an autograph. On Saturday of this tournament, he was there like 2 hours longer than he needed to be, just to sign autographs and interact with his fans. Does that make him a wonderful role model? Well, not on every level, but that demonstrates character, a kind of character I think, well, I'm a fan, so you know I'm gonna say it, but I think that is something. There are a whole lot of professional athletes who they could emulate that. When we think about exalting God, I will exalt you, Lord. There's the same two things. What are we exalting him for? Well, David talks about the performance aspect. He says, I will exalt you, Lord, for you rescued me. When you think about all that God has done in your life, even if you're going through a season of the desert, emotional and spiritual drought, God is still at work. It's kind of one of those, it plays well on Facebook and on Twitter and I don't know where else, but the idea being you don't even know how much bad God has kept from coming into your life. And it's true. I don't, you don't. There certainly has been. I don't know. I have a feeling that when my life ends and I wake up in the arms of Jesus, either he'll tell me about those or I'll be able to know them somehow. But there are times when God rescues us and we know it. It's difficult when you're going through one of those crummy seasons where it feels like nothing is going your way. Maybe it's your career is stalled. Maybe worse than being stalled, you don't have a career anymore. Maybe relationships are walking backwards. They bring you sorrow, not happiness and comfort. Maybe it's that you just feel like God is, well, he's somewhere, but he's not here. Maybe it's your health. Maybe you are crying out for God to heal and rescue you from a disease or a medical issue, and he hadn't answered yet. Well, then what do you exalt him for? But okay, now, bear in mind, I'm kind of a recovering pastor, okay? So I'm just going to say, and when I say this, as I hear it, I have to say, I kind of want to go, oh, yeah, thanks so much for that. But what I'm going to say is the truth. There's two things. One is, when we're in those seasons, it's tempting to believe that is the sum of our life. This is it. Always has been, always will be. I think I can say it with confidence. That's not true of us. Maybe it's been a very long time that you've been in this desert, but you weren't always in the desert. There were times when God rescued you and you could see it. You knew it. When you're in a desert season, you have to reflect back on your experience, back on your history, and recall times that God rescued you. And that gives you cause to exalt him. That's not so hard, although it is not easy, because when this moment really, really stinks, it's hard to pull up out of that nosedive and look at history. Here's the pastorly thing. It calls for faith, to trust that God has not abandoned you, because he always keeps his promise. And one of his promises was, I will never leave you. I will never forsake you. Hard to believe sometimes. Really hard to believe some days. Maybe you need to poke at that in your own life, in your own heart. I'll see you next time on Soul Care with Stevie.